What's up, everyone? It's Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And you are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. If you can hear me, please let me know. If you can't, please let me know. I think you guys should be able to hear me, though. Wait, I got the headphones in the wrong thing. There we go. Hello, hello, hello. Maybe not. Right here. There we go. All right. We're live from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and this is Dog Behavior Q&A episode 120. And we'll give you guys an hour of just talking with me. If you guys want to have a conversation or start a conversation, ask a question or put up a topic that you would like to talk about. But we try and do these every week. Every week we don't get to them. Last Wednesday was my actual birthday. And so yeah, we didn't have one of those. We didn't have a dog behavior Q&A on my birthday. But that's okay. We're back today. And we've got some questions to answer. And we hope to help some people out. I do get some pretty good feedback from these. So I will continue these because they seem to help. And I want to give not only my past clients another resource to sort of reach me or reach out to, but for people who may be struggling with other things, this is a good resource for them too. All right, let's get started. Okay, first question comes from Chris. Chris says, what is the youngest and oldest dogs that you have trained with? Is one age easier than the other? Thank you. You keep up the great work that you do. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. The youngest dog that I will work with will be a dog that is young enough to have their third round of shots. That's probably, obviously, if the dog's going to be around other dogs, I want to make sure that the dog is able to be around other dogs. So that we usually tell people the third round of shots is probably the youngest. And I don't know, that's probably around, 3 or 4 months, maybe. I'm not sure on that. I could be completely wrong, but that's the youngest we'll go, just for health reasons. And the oldest, there's no age. I trained a 16-year-old dog. That was probably the oldest dog that I've actually trained. So 16 years old was the oldest dog that I've trained, but it doesn't matter because those dogs can still be trained as well. It was actually a dog aggressive dog too. All right. Thanks for your question. All right. Remember, folks, we are live on Instagram and YouTube, Facebook as well. So if you like one platform more than the other, just so you know, we're on all three of them. All right. And also, don't be shy to ask as many questions as you like. You can ask multiple questions. The more, the better. Okay. Elizabeth Marie says, looking for advice on working with dogs at a dog daycare. I've been there for a year now, and it's a small town, one that doesn't require any behavioral tests before coming into dog daycare. We have many dogs that have no manners. So help with basic manners, high energy, jumping, and to biting at me and other works, and also attacking other dogs at the gate outside when you go get the dogs at the end of the day. Thank you. Okay, so great question. I used to work at a dog daycare a long time ago. So the thing at dog daycare that you have to have is, first of all, you want to make sure you know your numbers. Not to have too many dogs per person. I think the standard's like 15 dogs per one handler. It may even be less than that, but no more than that. And then if there's more than that, there has to be 2 people in the yard. And then when it comes to basic manners, the thing that I would enforce is gate control. So when dogs come in and out of gates, I'd have the dogs back up so that the dog can come in, and then to let the dogs from yard to yard, I'd have the dogs back up and call them one by one. Um, and so gate control is really helpful when it comes to fights, and obviously the number of dogs that you have per yard is important when it comes to fight. When it comes to manners or something like that. Also, when it comes to jumping and biting, you want to have something that is adversive. So I think you know what a lot of daycares have are squirt bottles. Um, that's probably the roughest you can get. Um, Otherwise, you can have air horns to break up fights. That usually does well when it comes to breaking up fights. Air horn works really well. There's a lot of things, but high energy, when it comes to dogs that are high energy, you find the one who is the highest energy and you put them on leash for a while, make them calm down, walk them around the yard, um, or make them sit wherever you are. But and then that usually maybe will probably bring down the energy of your group, right? So there's a lot of things you can do, but those are just a few things. I can get into detail and I can go on and on and on and on about it, but I won't. But those are a few things that I would do. And also, again, leashes are your best friend when it comes to just basic manners. All right. Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another. Okay. I did want to talk about, I think I've mentioned the sort of topic that I wanted to talk about. And that had to do with concentration and how that helps when it comes to aggression, when it comes to reactivity, and when it comes to insecurity and building trust. All those things really play a big role in uh, rehabilitation, concentration. Okay, so concentration, fights, all those things I just mentioned. How? Well, when your dog has to concentrate on a task or something that you give it to do, it not only builds trust, but again, it leaves less room for bad behavior. It leaves less room for insecurity. It leaves less room for bratty behavior. Every dog should have a certain amount of time that they have to concentrate. It is very healthy for them. One of the biggest tools that I can use to sort of gauge how not insecure but bratty, like um, how much the dog was allowed to get away with things at their home, was if I put a dog on a treadmill. When I put a dog on a treadmill, um, the amount of times they try and get off shows me that they have a big lack of structure at the house. Now, those things on the surface seem very unrelated, right? How do you tell if a dog is walking on a treadmill, how they act at home? Well, it's really quite simple. Again, if a dog is so used to getting what they want by asserting themselves over and over again, like their mindset is, if I do this, I get this. 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 Um, and so they're going to continue that mindset wherever they go until they have been met with a boundary that is very strong enough to make them reconsider that pattern, that thought pattern. Okay. And so again, so when the dog is on the treadmill and they're continuing to get off, trying to get off, trying to get off, trying to get off, that's they're lacking the ability to concentrate. They're lacking the ability to settle and calm their nerves. Um, It happens a lot in German Shepherds. It happens a lot in uh, pit bulls. It happens a lot in dogs who just have strong prey drive or who have strong impulsive behaviors. A lot in hounds. Okay, so it's very powerful though. I see it every day. It's very very powerful to be able to have a dog that will stay um, and allow its mind to break that pattern of, all right, I'm impatient, I'm going to do this because I get what I want when I want it. That's what we're seeing here in my in the rehabilitation process. That's exactly the key to getting the dog to learn. Okay, it has little to do with aggression. The aggression is the side effect to their a, a you can call it ADHD. They have do not have the ability to concentrate, be calm, and do nothing. They can't stand still. When they don't want to stand still, they don't. And it's up to them. Whenever they're ready to do something, they do it. Whenever they want something, they can get it. But so this is how we sort of show them love too. This is how the American household shows dogs love. Whatever you want, you can get it. What do you want? You can have it. That's what we think building a happy dog is. But it's building a reactive dog. For a lot of people, it's not even allowing the dog to use their brain. For a lot of dogs, a lot of dogs again live in such a reactive state of being that they do become unpredictable because they're allowed to be unpredictable. They're allowed to not respect their owner so they can do what they want, jumping on who they want, barking at what they want, pulling, going wherever they want. And so, if you can sort of get your dog to stop one of those behaviors, pulling on leash, barking, jumping, then you'll get a dog who can become calm. I'm teaching dogs how to be calm. I'm teaching dogs how to control their impulse. They're impulsive, they're irritable, and they think that using their teeth can get them places. I want what I want so bad that I'm going to put my teeth on you. That's what they're thinking. Now, this is the majority of the dogs that I work with. Okay. It's not all dogs, but the majority. And that is, uh, they're quite dangerous, to be honest with you guys. It's not something that is easy. It's very time consuming, and it's quite draining. But I'm not complaining. This is not a complaint. This is my job. I love my job. But I just want you guys to know sort of what we're dealing with here. All right? All right. Cheers to whoever's having a beer with me. Okay. Chris asked, what would cause a dog to kill another dog that it lives with? There's many things. Jealousy, um, dominance, hierarchy, the dog wanting to become dominant of that other dog, a weakness in one dog, like if a dog is sick or weak and there's a dog that doesn't like it and living in the household, then sometimes the dog will kill off the other dog. But it also has a lot to do with the breed. Um, yeah, and maybe a disregard of any sort of, you know, respect. A total disregard for any respect. But I'd have to know about the situation more to be able to give you a more definitive answer. But those are just kind of generalities. I mean, uh, you know, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen, unfortunately. Happens a lot in wolf packs as well. Well, not a lot, but it does happen. All right, thanks for your question. All right, next question. Stephanie says, "What about a schnauzer that wants to jump on everyone that jumps in our pool? We don't know if she thinks people are drowning. She just jumps in after them." Yeah, dogs kind of do that, don't they? They're just kind of impulsive when it comes to that. I think it's more of a controlling thing, though, in my estimation. I don't think they think they're drowning at all. I think it's more of a this seems like an out of control situation because when you're in a pool, you're splashing, you're swimming, you're moving, and it's not as easy to for the dog to decide to just walk up to him because you're not in land, you're in the water, and so it's sort of an impulsive thing because they're on the edge, maybe tensing up, right, getting excited, and then they finally jump in because again, you're in the pool or people are in the pool and they're kind of splashing around, having a good time, and they're maybe making a lot of noise and this and that. Um, and so I do think it's sort of an impulsive thing and maybe a controlling thing. In my opinion. Dogs will even try and do that with other dogs as well. And again, it's not necessarily them saving each other for drowning, more so than, them trying to maybe address something that they probably think is out of control. You know what I mean? Um, so so yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. All right. Thanks for your question. Okay, next question comes from Becky. Rescue dog is in a large kennel with two other dogs during the day. When the owner comes home, the rescue dog is aggressive at the kennel until the gate is open to let him out. Once opening the gate, he is super happy and very loving. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's many dogs. That's a lot of dogs, especially ones that I see. Um, you can do one of two things, or a little bit of both. First thing you can do, if the dog is new to you, is give it time. So you can continue to let the dog get aggressive at the gate and just deal with it as long as it doesn't result in anything further negative. You know what I'm saying? Or you could tell the dog to sit down. First of all, what you want to do is make sure that you can sort of dissipate the anticipation, the excitement. Because when you walk in the door and you go straight to them, they're going to be excited. So you may not want to try that. You may not want to do that. One way that would help her think or help the dog think a little clearer and be able to sit is to ignore the dogs before you until they're calm and before you let them out. And then once they're calm, then you can go over there, tell the dog to sit, and then be able to open that door fully without the dog coming out. That's going to stop it. Once the dog knows you're going to, some dogs, they're aggressive until you go for the latch. You know what I'm saying? And or open the door. And once you open the door, then some dogs are they turn into chickens. So, but to stop the crate aggression, let's first kind of dissolve the excitement of being let out. So if you're making them their first priority, then I would sort of reverse that. And then when you go and let them out, just ask for obedience before letting them out, and that will help it. All right. Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another. Next question is from Shyla. Hello, I have an almost 5-year-old. I have a almost 5-year-old wine that started acting aggressive and has bitten 3 different neighbors' friends when they come to our door. This behavior started out about 3 months ago, and only when someone knocks or rings the doorbell. Any recommendations on how to control what we should do? Has been to the vet and is in good health. Thank you in advance. Okay, Shiloh. So let's just break that down a little bit for more people, because I know that maybe some people watching that will have similar challenges, because that's a common problem. It is weird that your dog all of a sudden, that he's 5 years old or almost four, almost five, and just started doing it. That's kind of weird. Because that's kind of old. But anyway, either way, what you have to focus on is getting the dog to listen to you, despite listening to itself. The dog, when that doorbell rings, goes into reactive mode, non-listening mode. The dog is like, this means this, and so I need to do this. Okay, so we have to interject. We have to get the dog to think, you don't need to do this because I'm in charge and I'm going to handle the situation. The dog needs to be able to respect what you want and what you're trying to display to the dog. Okay, if the dog has bitten people too, now it's very, very important that you are able to reach the dog. Okay, so how do you reach the dog? All right, first and foremost, you have to get the dog to start respecting you guys in the house a lot more. If the dog can listen to you in the house, then you'll have a much better chance. Okay, so you have to start, if the dog is on any sort of furniture, then that dog should lose furniture privileges for a while. Again, you'll have to start getting the dog to listen to similar or more things until this problem is solved. And it's going to maybe take a while. Okay, you may need to use an adversive tool. You may need to keep the dog on leash. You may need to use a prong collar, an e-collar, or a doggy don't. One of those three tools in order to reach the dog in that situation. But more importantly, again, the dog has to listen to you without the doorbell ringing first. Let's get that. Let's get a dog that's, when you say go lay down, that it actually does that. Okay, and when you train that, you should train that with the leash and the prong collar. I have videos on my YouTube on, if you're not familiar with the prong collar, I have a video on how to introduce that correctly, how to walk the dog correctly, and how to put the dog on its bed or teach the dog to go to its bed correctly. And then I have videos on the exact problem that you're talking about. All right, so I would go ahead and check those videos out. No one else needs to get bit. If you want to take an extra step, get a Baskerville muzzle with a B, Baskerville muzzle. And okay, so here's the other thing that I would do right away too, is when you have friends or neighbors come over, put the dog somewhere else for 10 minutes. Because maybe the dog after that 10 minutes will be okay, with your guest. Maybe once that excitement comes off, wears off. But here's another thing you should do, and then I'll move on, because I can go on and on about this subject. But when you come home and you open that door, that dog should not be meeting you at the door. Okay, that's going to be a very good first step in getting the dog to realize that the dog should be doing something when that door is being open, as opposed to allowing the dog to do what it wants. The door means something to the dog: excitement and or aggression. And so you have to start. That's another little thing you can do to get the dog to realize that when that door opens, it doesn't mean excitement. So what I do is, when I come in the door, I tell my dogs to go lay down immediately. All right, because I want them to be sort of the secondary priority. And I also want to reinforce calm behavior. You get what you want when you're calm. Okay. So any further help, feel free to reach out to me, PM me, or DM me. Yeah, private message, direct message, whatever. Because if your dog is biting someone, you'll probably need some professional help. But feel free to reach out, and I can give you some more advice and details. All right. Thanks for your question. So I don't have any questions on Instagram. Okay. I so regret not bringing her to you for training. It's all right. That's all good. Looks like the dog has gotten adopted, huh? So that's good. The kids hate it, so we would love for her not to do it. Yeah, you're just gonna have to control her to, you're just gonna have to teach her how to control that impulse. It's just like anything, just like kind of how that I explained that door thing. You'll just have to kind of, really get her to realize that she shouldn't be doing that. You know what I'm saying? So she can kind of control it, or you can deal with it and maybe wait until the novelty wears off. Okay. That question was, or that statement was for Stephanie. Answer. All right, next question is for Jen. We have a 90-pound, 10-month-old American Bulldog who is as sweet as can be, but has tons of energy and doesn't realize how big he is. He always wants to be in our laps and wants to snuggle. I don't want him to feel punished, but it's a lot. How do you know where to draw the line? Great question. Great question. It really is a good question. How do you know when to draw the line? Draw the line when it gets on your nerves. I mean, if you know, I'll just go ahead and say, if you know that you're a decent person, you're a fair person, you've given the dog what it needs, you've given the dog what it needs, then you can ask for a lot from the dog. No furniture if you don't want, no jumping on you if you don't want that. You shouldn't want that anyway. No jumping. And no attention if you don't want the attention. Your attention should be when you guys take a walk or are outside playing. That's your attention. You know what I'm saying? And so if you don't want to do something, just make it known to him. Because that road leads down some dark places. And so you just want to remember that if you're not giving the dog what it needs, then the dog is sort of justified in being pushing. But you do have to give the dog what it needs. And exercise is number one. Discipline is number two, and then affection is after that. Okay, so exercise, and then after that, you'll be much easier to discipline because the dog will listen to you because its energy is out, and then affection afterwards. So also remember, you get what you pet. Pet that calm dog. Wait until it's calm to pet it before you don't pet the dog who again is maybe hyper and jumping on you. Definitely don't pet the dog that's jumping on you. Okay, don't let the dog jump on you. That's just that's very disrespectful. So you should display that. You should sort of portray that to your dog. All right, Jen, thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another. Okay. I wouldn't necessarily ignore him because I don't know if ignoring really works in the kennel. It does to a certain point. Okay, so people always say, "Oh, let's just ignore the dog." When you walk in the door, ignore him. He won't jump on you if you ignore him. Well, that doesn't really work for some dogs. Some dogs don't care if you ignore them. They're still going to jump on you. They're still going to bark at you. They're still going to do those things. You will need to give the dog something to do. You will need to sort of have that level of respect between you and the dog in order for the dog to get. So sometimes you will have to go over there and tell the dog to sit and then ignore the dog, But I wouldn't allow the dog to bark, 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 bark. That's tough to ignore. Again, maybe some circumstances that would be warranted, but not most of the time. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Natalie says, can the fear of thunder or fireworks be trained out of a dog? One dog is terrified and the other could care less. We don't baby her when she's nervous over them. We just try to carry on as normal. Yeah, it can. Although some dogs it's very challenging. You know what I mean? I wouldn't beat yourself up about it. There are some dogs who are just going to be scared of those things genetically, loud things. There's tons of hunting dogs that end up in the pound or in the shelter because they're gun shy as a puppy. Sometimes dogs genetically, their nerves cannot handle it. So it depends on the dog. My dog, I have a dog named Tobias. He is still um, nervous about thunder and fireworks. Um, he doesn't run away anymore. He runs to me, which is nice. But yeah, doesn't like loud noises. But he is a nervous dog in general. So it depends on the dog. All right. I'm not one of these trainers that's going to sell you on everything that can be trained out of a dog. I don't. I think that's being unrealistic. Through my experience, there are dogs who are, again, uh, really difficult to train out of what they are um, coming from a genetic standpoint. So that's that. All right, next question. Jen's one of my closest friends. Hey, April, how are you? I'm glad Jen asked that question. You guys like American Bulldogs, don't you? They crazy. Okay, let's check YouTube. Okay, so like I was saying, guys, concentration is a very, I guess, new term. I'm calling it concentration because I think that's what it is. I think that again, dogs need to concentrate. When I'm taking a dog on a walk, I don't want the dog to sniff, especially if they're very insecure. I don't want the dog to do a lot of sniffing. I just want them to walk and walk loose leash, and that does take some level of concentration. I want them to be focused on just walking, not squirrels, not people, not dogs. All right, I have to have them sort of walk with me nice and easy and focus and concentrate. But what that does, again, is leaves less room for reactive behavior, aggressive behavior, fearful behavior. And then you start to build trust. All right. And trust builds confidence in the dog. So people always ask me, how can I build confidence in a dog? Well, you can build confidence by training your dog. Just basic obedience will give the dog some confidence. If the dog is not confident, it means it's fearful. Okay. Well, how do you work with fear? Um, well, you first and foremost build trust by getting the dog to do a job that it must do. And that's how you get over a lot of things. So, for example, let's just talk about the walk again. Um, I have many dogs that come in, they're scared of cars. They don't know what they are. Maybe they do. Um, and they're coming at them pretty quickly. And they try and lunge at them. They try and lunge at the car. Why? Well, because to the dog, it may be something that's big, moving fast, and coming towards them, and then goes away from them very quickly. And that may provoke uh, their prey drive that comes from their need to control. It's very prominent in herding breeds like the Rottweiler, Australian Shepherd, cattle dog, German Shepherd. Any dog who, has, well, the Border Collie for sure. Um, any dog who has had to do a job to control, those are all controlling dogs because they have been herding at one point in their genetic history. So they're used to maybe controlling big things. Rottweilers for sure. Um, Anybody had any experience out there with a Rottweiler that's been car reactive? That's almost every single one I've trained seems like they're car reactive. But yeah, concentration, guys, is very important. The treadmill is a pretty good tool. It's one that you don't want to overuse it, um, but it's a pretty good tool. It helps dogs concentrate. They do have to concentrate. They have to stay in a groove. You know, they can't slip off. They sort of have to concentrate and just walk nice and slow, just like we're taking a walk. The treadmill is a good thing. I have a how-to video on that as well. All right, let me make sure I got everybody's question. Excuse me. All right, guys. I think I got them all. If you guys have any burning questions that you have, just remember that maybe somebody else is struggling with your same question. So please feel free to ask. I'm here until my battery runs out. Looks like it's getting there. So we'll have our pack walk next week. Everybody always asks how they can get in the pack walk. You have to go through some training with me to go through the pack walk. I need at least 2 or 3 private lessons. And the reason for that is I don't work with easy dogs, and I can't have a total stranger, come into the pack walk that doesn't have control over their dogs. You do have to have certain level of skill to come into the pack walk, because you will know what to do when something goes wrong. All right. I've never had an accident, never had a dog fight, never had anybody get bit. I had dogs lunge at other dogs, but the owners know exactly what to do when those things happen. And so to keep everybody safe, we will have to have some things and have some basic skills in order to come into the pack walk. That's just how it is. I'm sorry. I really do wish I could have everyone come in and just party, but unfortunately, that's just not how it is. There are still some dogs who need a lot of improvement, and that's where they can get it. Okay, so it's a nice controlled pack walk where people can continue to work on their skills, especially dogs who are dog reactive on leash or human reactive on leash. We walked through a neighborhood in Green Bay that's really been friendly and great to us, and it's really been a good situation. So if you guys are interested in our pack walk, you will have to have some private lessons with me, or at the least private lessons with me. All board and trained dogs, obviously, are okay to attend the pack walk. All right. And we do those every other Saturday. We're not there this Saturday, but I think this Saturday is raining anyway. But we'll be there next Saturday. So, all right, you guys. Well, let's see. I'll check one last time. I think we're good to go on questions. Yeah, looks like we're good to go, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. We'll be here next week. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked it. If you're watching from YouTube, give me a like or subscribe or whatever that is. And we'll be here next week for episode 121. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks for watching. See you next time.